Welcome to another episode of the C-List Villains Podcast. We are on episode 2. My name is AJ. I'm your host. I'm here with Red, Luke, and our engineer extraordinaire, E-Man.
Episode number 2. What's going on, everyone?
Number 2.
Yep.
My favorite number.
I don't want to know why. I'm not even going to ask.
You do it every morning.
It's how many copies of comics you get. You don't order one, you order 2. That's why.
One to read, one to not touch, right?
There you go. That's the 2.
That's what I use the dollar comics for. It's to wipe the Constitution. Not the Constitution, but the Constitution I do in the morning.
Why?
I think we're veering away from what we normally should be talking about.
Why, Red? Stop.
Hey, continue.
Oh, God.
All right, so let's get started with the get to know you portion of this episode. You listeners are going to get to know each one of us podcasters, why we still collect, what got us into collecting, why do we spend our money on a piece of 20 pages of paper that pretty much cost a meal. Who wants to start off on their reason for collecting? Any takers?
Let's start with Red. I want to start with Red.
Damn it! Or am I being voluntold?
Because I want to know. AJ and I talked. I kind of have an idea from Luke, and we're going to find out everything. You were a big surprise to me when I found out you started collecting. So I want to know when you started collecting, why, and how long has it been happening?
All right. I started collecting back when I was home in the Philippines. We had Western and action comic books. They were also in like this card form. So other than the books, I would collect those cards, and every card had a scene, and you would have to put the cards together in order to finish the book. So that was an adventure. So I could never finish the book because there were always missing cards. Then I stopped after I moved to the States, and then I started up again back in '86. When I started picking up G.I. Joe and Transformers, then stopped again at 92 when I hit high school, when it wasn't cool anymore to collect comic books. It was more
a lot of those type of stories. So.
Yeah. It seems like that's okay. So it's one of those things where you either keep going and you say forget everyone else, or you're like, oh no, it's not cool. Like people are gonna think all the girls are not coming over because they're gonna see the.
You want to touch boobs eventually, right?
Exactly.
It went from comic books to magazines that you read for the articles.
Exactly. I started collecting. What was it called? Stuff magazine, Maxim.
You don't have to get into the details. You don't have to tell us the names.
But as soon as the turn of the century and we started going to conventions around the mid 2014-15, I started getting back into comic books as soon as AJ and I started going to conventions, and we haven't stopped since.
I actually wanted to ask you something. So you collected comics in the Philippines. Did you ever get any of the counterfeit Marvel books?
No. These were all strictly Filipino titles.
Oh, because I've heard that some of those counterfeit books can catch a pretty penny if you find them. But
even if I did have some, they were lost in many of the floods.
Gotcha.
We had.
Gotcha. Yeah. I'd imagine collecting in the Philippines would be kind of tough because of the hurricanes and of the floods and whatnot that go through. Philippines doesn't get hurricanes. You guys get cyclones. It's basically the same thing. Typhoons. Because I have cousins who've lost many Michael Jordan card and shoe collection because of that. So, yeah, I'd imagine it'd be kind of tough.
There is not a lot of protecting the collection when it comes down to a natural disaster.
I love Filipino counterfeit. Like, I used to collect. It was called Star Battles, and it was Star Wars, but with like, they didn't get the right. Darth Vader had like a real big helmet.
Yeah, it was complete ripoff, definitely. And I wish I kept some of those titles too.
It was very dark helmet-ish, wasn't it? It was the shorts.
No. It was a comedy, but it was strictly action. It was nice.
Gotcha.
How about you, E-Man?
So I've known about comics for the longest time. I've known about X-Men, Captain America, a lot of the Marvel superheroes, DC superheroes, but I never collected comic books as a kid. I had friends who would show me Transformers and G.I. Joe comic books in the 80s, but I was just not interested in reading. I was more interested in playing with the toys. When Image split, or I'm sorry, when Image was created, my cousin showed me Spawn, Savage Dragon, like all the number ones from Image. And then he showed me that these guys were like the best artists from Marvel. I was just fascinated. So I started collecting when Image pretty much started. So for about 1 to 2 years, I was collecting nothing but Image titles. You know, Brigade, Bloodstrike, Youngblood, all of those. For about 2 or 3 years, and then I stopped because I was already in high school. Because it wasn't cool in high school. It wasn't. It was hard to explain certain things. And then social life and everything. Well, anyway, I stopped collecting in high school. I started up again only about 3-4 years ago, 2016, when my coworker and I, we were still getting to know each other, and I brought up Stephen Platt one day. We were talking about like the art styles that we liked for Image, and we brought up Stephen Platt. And from that moment, him and I just clicked.
Did you just become best friends with this guy?
But honestly, he did become my work best friend because there was a language that we knew. We were talking comics. Not too many people knew about it. And then he was teaching me, and then I was bringing up stuff with him, and he was remembering. So we're doing this back and forth. So since 2016, I started collecting again and realizing and figuring out what I like to read and what I wanted to keep as the collection. That's kind of like my little comic book history.
Ooh. You have this one, E-Man?
I don't. Remember, I don't. Is that Stephen Platt?
Yeah, that's Platt.
Oh, man.
55 to 60 run he did on Moon Knight.
See, honestly, that Stephen Platt Moon Knight run, when I have enough pennies, I want to get that. Because I fell in love with his art when I saw the Moon Knight, the Prophets. What else did he do for Image? I just loved his style. So, so basically bringing up Stephen Platt again, it pretty much restarted my comic book collecting again. And I gravitate more towards Image just because I feel like their storytelling is a little bit more polished. Or I shouldn't say more polished, but it's just more aimed at me. And I just don't want to jump like on, X-Men and everything else because I felt like it was past me. So that's me.
What about you, Luke?
My best friend growing up introduced me to comics. I was 10 years old, and then my first comic, we walked into a comic store on the day X-Men 1 was released.
Wow.
On
the Jim Lee one, right? Correct.
Jim Lee run, yeah. So because he was taking me, he was excited. He said, "Hey, this new X-Men book's coming out. They're restarting. It's gonna change the industry, all this stuff." And we're like, 11 and 12 talking about this. He brought me in. I bought the book, and I was hooked. So I collected. What year did that come out? Early 90s.
91.
Yeah, it should have been 1991.
I think books were like $1.25.
Yeah, I think 91. So I collected solid. I had a pull box from that day.
Wait, at that age you had a pull box?
At that age I had a pull box. I used my lawn mowing money to buy comics. And then in high school I had to get a job to buy comics. I worked in a cabinet factory on the weekends to buy comics. And I would sell them on the bus going to school. So I'd read them and then I'd sell them to my friends.
Hey man, you gotta read this. This is a great read. This is awesome. This guy.
I sold them for like a quarter, or so.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, like 20 bucks.
Get a return back.
I got a return. I read it, and I wanted to make a little money. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh man.
There's nothing wrong with that.
He started off the right way. Look at him.
And then I stopped. 9/11 hit. I stopped collecting. I basically trimmed all the fat out of my life. Everything was, all the hobbies, everything. I kind of just went off on my own thing, stopped collecting, and then picked back up probably now about 10 years ago, 2010. So from 2001 to 2010, I stopped collecting, which is ironic because that was the best time to buy in all of comic history. Literally, that was the best time for keys and first appearances, and you could buy an original ASM page that Steve Ditko drew for $1,000 during that time. That today would be $500,000 or even $1 million.
I mean, that was more the advent of the MCU, and now 2008 was the first Iron Man. We figure 2 years after that.
2000, X-Men came out and people were starting to get excited. But now it's more of a passion for me, and it's more of a following the characters and the storylines that I enjoy. And Image now, it's funny you said that, E-Man, because Image now is much more of like the gritty publisher. They have like the really like,
darker stories,
dark alley detectives, like investigating the murders, and there's very few superheroes. It's all real people now,
and I don't know, maybe that's why I ended up not following X-Men, because pretty much Youngblood, Cyberforce, like all of those teams in the early 90s that I read were pretty much just, knockoffs of X-Men and Avengers and all that. And that's why, like, for me, I felt like I couldn't really follow the Avenger comic books because I that's how I started. But now, it's gravitated more towards deeper storytelling, fantasy, gritty, detective stuff. And maybe that's why I've stuck with Image after, starting again, because to me, the stories are, they're more interesting. That's it.
You'd be interested in Sex Criminals then.
You've been trying to get me to read that. Like, after the first 4 pages, I'm like, oh my God, I can't read this on the train station. This is not something.
Yes, you can.
I did pick up, I want to say maybe like a Free Comic Book Day version or something like that of Sex Criminals. That one and Saga. Yeah, I opened up a couple of pages on Bart. Oh no, I had to close that. I'm like, no, people can't see me reading this like in public.
Wait. Are you reading out loud?
No, not reading out loud, but I mean, I'm standing up on the Bart on the train, and I'm flipping through these comics, and these are supposed to be comics, and all of a sudden I see some very graphic images that I'm like, I need to put this away.
Well, how else are you going to stop time?
No, couldn't do it. I had to, no, can't do it.
Red, have you been reading Sex Criminals?
No, I've been collecting them, but I stopped at 10 because life gets in the way. But I'll start reading up again. I mean, I was in the middle of the arc where the police. This
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Well, it's been years.
Yeah, dude.
But the time police are after the main characters and trying to get to know where they got their abilities.
Right. I mean, I only read the first trade, and I have copies of the first issue, but I stopped reading after the first trade. I couldn't get really into it, to tell you the truth.
Yes, the Dark is a demented writer, but good stuff.
What about you, AJ? What got you started in the comic book game?
Okay, so I got a story to tell here. Not a great story, but it's a story nonetheless. So I remember as a kid, spoiler alert, I am also Filipino, like Red. I went to the Philippines, I believe it was the summer going into the 4th grade, okay? I went on a family trip to the Philippines, and honestly, I don't really remember much when I was a kid, but I do know that to keep me entertained, I always was taken to the mall because, the mall is so big, right? We would walk around the mall and I'd see like a G.I. Joe comic. G.I. Joe comics is what actually got me into comics. They picked me up an issue or two, and then when I went back home as in my aunt's house, I would read them. And then the next day we would go back to the mall, and then I'd pick up a few more issues. Eventually, I got pretty much most of the Cobra War, right? And I don't know if you guys are familiar with G.I. Joe comics, where Serpentor and Cobra got into a war. And there was this whole backstory about the scene that really got to me, because before that, all I knew was the G.I. Joe cartoon, right?
Right.
And no one gets killed, right? No one
Right.
gets killed, right?
Well, Duke,
The thing that-
Duke came very close to that. That was like the most graphic thing, you know,
Right.
was seeing Duke getting stabbed.
But no one gets killed, right?
Right.
So I'm reading the G.I. Joe Cobra War. Destro looks badass. He's all gold now. He's got this dope ass on uniform. And one of the covers has Serpentor in a tank, and Baroness is tied up on the tank so that Destro and his army can't shoot Serpentor because Destro's in love with Baroness and all that stuff, right? But in this issue, there's a panel with Zartan, okay? And he's talking about all, like, he's got this bow and arrow, right? And he's ready to shoot it. And he does a little monologue about how he learned how to shoot a bow and arrow. And basically from that little snippet of his monologue, you find out that, like, he killed the Hard Master, which was Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes' master, right?
Mm-hmm.
But everyone thought that it was Storm Shadow that killed the Hard Master, but it was Zartan the whole time. So as he's doing that monologue, then you see him shoot the bow and arrow, and it flies across the battlefield, and it kills Serpentor. And I had never seen that in any of the G.I. Joe cartoons. And I was like, holy shit, they just killed Serpentor right now. Like, that was such a shock to me. This is the first time I had ever read a comic book, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened right now, you know?
And that messes with you as a child. Whenever you see something like that happening with your own eyes, you're like, well, you know, in the cartoon, no one dies. And then you open up a comic book and boom, not only does someone die, but a major character in lore dies. So that must have done something to you, right?
Yeah. And the art and the storytelling was like going into fourth grade. You know, that's some gritty shit you're reading, right? And then I came back to the States, and then I kept buying more and more G.I. Joe comics. And then eventually, I believe it was a Spectacular Spider-Man. I bought a couple issues of that. And then I bought the Spider-Man issue where Spider-Man turns into the Hulk. And then I just started reading and reading. And then I would go on and off up until the early start of Image. And I picked up all the #1 issues for, like, Spawn, Youngblood, Wildcats. Wildcats was my favorite, along with, what's the one that Will Portasio created?
Oh, Wetworks.
Wetworks, yes.
Wetworks was awesome.
Yeah.
Wetworks. Yeah.
Wetworks and Wildcats is what really got me into Image. And then, just like anything, you know, you get into high school, you fall out of it just because you've got other priorities, you know, trying to be cool and all that shit, you know.
Wait, am I the only one who stuck with comics in high school?
Sounds like
Yeah,
it.
it sounds like
I was
it.
super nerd. I had no friends.
No. And here's the thing. And I look at you like, man, you're the cool one because you stuck through it. You stuck to your guns and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to let high school social life dictate my hobbies. You know, I'm not going to go out to, you know, Dave and Buster's at 10 o'clock at night and drive out there and then come back at 5 o'clock in the morning. No, you stuck to your guns and you kept
That's
the comics.
college.
Who's doing that in high school? What are you talking about, dude?
That's college.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just me, huh?
I had band practice and football practice. There's no room for comic books there.
See, I was a band geek. I never played sports, so comics was my sports.
Very cool, very cool.
It's the best hobby and I guess after school program.
I would also like to add, I did not have a girlfriend in high school.
Ah, see, that's why. That's why. You had the real priorities straight. See, you had good priorities in high school. I envy you for that.
Looking back, I was an idiot.
Sorry, I have stories about E-Man.
Stop.
About
Different podcast, not here. Don't you dare bring them up here. Do you hear me, Red? This is a comic book family-friendly podcast. Don't you dare.
But you know what? I
Fine.
found a wife who is a fellow nerd, and our first date, she said that she went to all the conventions. And
Oh, damn.
She was a Trekkie, and I was more of a Star Wars guy. I put that aside. You know, I didn't hold it.
All through college, I stopped, but like my closest college friends, they knew. I mean, we lined up for the Star Wars toys at Toys R Us, you know, so they knew that I was a geek, and some of them, they had their geek tendencies too. You know, they all read comic books as a kid, but I think they outgrew it. Whereas me I tried to outgrow it, but it was still there, right? So now I'm entering my 20s and I'm working, okay? And now this is where like prime AJ just wants to party and have all kinds of fun, right?
Stop, Red. Different podcast. Don't you dare bring up any of those stories either.
Well, there is a story about $1 and hot dogs, but
So
I'll leave that alone.
Stop.
Did you make them disappear?
No, you had.
You know the
I'll leave
thing
that
is,
there.
okay.
Keep going, AJ. Keep going.
Side story. You weren't even there, yet somehow you talk about the story more than anyone else.
It's the funniest shit I ever heard. But go ahead, continue.
Okay, so in my 20s, you know, I'm just like full on like just wanting to have like a social life, trying to YOLO it up, right? But you know, I'm already working full time, and you know, you've got that hour break, and I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do for an hour? I've never fucking thought about what. Like, it doesn't take me an hour to eat food, right? So I would go out on my breaks, drive somewhere, maybe grab something to eat, and then drive back to work. But on the drive back to work, there would be this little comic store. And I'd pop in just to see what's going on. And I'd pick up a trade, you know, like a Spider-Man trade. And I would read it, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty interesting. And then I would start talking to the owner, and I would say, hey, so what's a good storyline right now, okay? And, you know, he would keep recommending me this and that. And then I got into it was the Batman Superman run with Jeff Loeb. I don't know if you guys recall that, right?
2005? 2005?
Yes. And then they got into the Michael Turner Supergirl run, right? And that art and that storytelling, like, it blew me away. I'm like, who the fuck is this? Like, this is like, I remember Todd McFarlane, I remember Jim Lee, but I'm like, who's drawing this right now? This is amazing, you know? And then I started slowly buying more and more comics. And then I got really into it when I found another comic shop in which the store manager, he really gave me good recommendations, right? And this is like, I don't want to say prime Image, but this is when, like, you know, it was right at the start of Saga. I think Why the Last Man had just ended. This is when Image was really starting to push out a lot of these indie books that, I don't want to say groundbreaking, but were a little different. Walking Dead was just about to heat up as far as the comic world. I don't think the show had come out just yet. And then, you know, he recommended Nailbiter. And then when I read that, I mean, this was not a tights and capes type of story, and it blew me away. And I'll say to this day, Nailbiter is the book that really got me back legitimately into comics. Now, to answer your question about my significant better half, she understands like what I do now, but I know in the beginning she was like, what the fuck, you know?
What did I get myself into?
Yeah.
What is this? Oh, God, he's one of those guys, isn't he?
I took her to a comic convention, a small one, the Long Beach Comic Con. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to go to this comic convention. I'm going to try to get some sketches from an artist and, you know, walk around. Do you want to come with me? And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll go with you. You know, like, I don't know what this is all about, but I'll go. So, you know, I'm doing my thing on the floor, the main floor. And I'm like, you know, if you get tired, walk around with me. Just go outside into the lot, like the area where you can just sit down and just people watch, right? I don't want her to just wait around for like, for this grown-ass man trying to get a drawing from someone, right?
But it's Addy Greenov. It's Addy Greenov.
She didn't know who that was.
It was actually Todd Knock at the time.
Also good.
Yeah, also good. So she was like, I'm just gonna wait for you, like in this little, like outside of the convention hall, there's lounge chairs and like sofas you can sit on, right?
Mhm.
So she's people watching, right? And she's like thinking to herself, like, these are fucking grown men and women dressing up in character. Like, what is up with these guys, you know? I know we had a talk about it. She's like, so what are they dressing up for? You know, after the convention, I'm like, they're just doing it for fun. And she's like, oh, but I don't understand. So they just dress like a Star Wars person and then they're just like taking pictures with each other? Yeah, yep. I mean, that's what they want to do, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay, you know, that, whatever, you know? And I know that she probably thought it was like the fucking weirdest thing, right? And then obviously now she's like completely unfazed by it. She's gone to every San Diego Comic-Con with me for like the last 2, 3, 4 years, and nothing phases her anymore. She's seen it all as far as conventions.
She's just happy that, you know, what keeps you happy and your other hobby is comic books and nerd stuff and not hookers and drugs. So I think that's why she comes along, because she knows that this keeps you happy and she just wants to see your smile. That's it.
Wow, that's a tough choice. Hookers and drugs, comic books and nerds. I don't know what to choose.
And that's a little bit about Red for you.
Yeah, I chose the latter. Comic books and nerds.
Okay, so I wanted to ask, why are we still collecting to this day?
That's a great question, AJ, because, you know, even when we see in a lot of the Facebook groups and Instagram Comic Family, IG Comic Family, if you guys aren't on that hashtag, thousands of people follow it. And it's mainly older guys. There are some younger guys who are into it, and I love it. And women. There are some women and gay and trans people who are into it. It's awesome. I love it. It's mainly middle-aged men, and you have to ask yourself why. I think it's because it gives us that freedom of expression that I feel like is maybe lacking in American culture, where we can escape into that superhero realm and just be able to express ourselves.
Actually relive your childhood, right? Because not only you're buying comic books, you're also buying the toys, watching the movies, watching the cartoons, anything associated with that property. You're taking it all in. I mean, Funko is such a huge name right now because, you know, they have license to everything. And I'm finding myself collecting Marvel Funkos.
Yeah, Funkos in literally everything. Like I have these little bobbleheads of Venom. I mean, they're in licensed of every property now.
So midlife crisis. Oh God!
No. Don't call it that.
I think it's a midlife. I don't know, expression, the growth.
Honestly,
it's not a crisis for me because I get to involve my family in it.
Yeah,
get to involve, and even like what AJ was saying with the cons, like. I do the weekend packages for my local cons now. The first 2 days, my family knows, don't come with me. Don't ask to come with me. Don't talk to me.
This is
Daddy's got to do business.
I've been full on signing, finding rare books, getting commissions, buying original pages. But then the third day is always bring the family. I don't buy anything.
That's a great plan, though. It really is.
To my understanding, that's kind of AJ's plan also when he goes to San Diego Comic-Con.
No. My significant other, she is all in with whatever I do.
If she helps him.
If I ask her,
him.
Babe, I need you to stand in line for this for 3 hours while I go to this other booth and stand in line for 3 hours. Can you do that? She's like, yes. Red knows that, like, when it's San Diego Comic-Con, I'm like all business.
Yeah.
Right.
I can only imagine Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's all business. And then Sunday,
Sunday is chill.
Sunday,
okay.
Usually is chill, but then last year there was a McFarlane signing, and so we end up lining up for that. But usually Sunday is the chill day. You know, we have other friends, all of us have other friends that we know attend San Diego. And like I try to make time, but I'm like, you know, they might go to the hotel room and they're gonna go out to eat with Red. I'm like, dude, you're in the mission when it's
Thursday morning at 7 a.m. We hit the bus to get in line and waiting to get to the door. It's okay. I'm gonna lose you, so I'll just call you around 11 and get lunch.
So it's the 12 o'clock with Clayton Crane, or the 1:30 with the friends having bagels and brunch. What do you
Most
choose?
likely he's gonna go with Clayton Crane.
Clayton Crane, right?
But if there's two overlapping signings, he's gonna ask one of us to go stand in line for him. Well, he goes get the first one and then jumps in the other line right after.
And see, that's how you do it, though, right? That's how you're supposed to do it at the cons.
It's a team effort. It's a team effort,
man.
I would be there right with you guys. We would be a quadfecta.
I would do this too. I would do this. I'd be involved. I would
because it is work. It's you're walking miles a day just to get to point A to point B and just waiting. And sometimes those lines are just it's a battle. There's a fight. There's a fight 2 years ago for Funko Pop.
For the Wiz Funko Pop. Oh my God, there was a fight.
Like
I've never
seen nerds fight until that time. Like, dude, you're 40 years old. You're fighting this other 40-year-old for a Funko Pop.
Oh no!
I remember that because it was to the point where the I guess the manager of the booth or whatever, she was like, "That's it. We're not selling any today. We're done." And they called security and they were like, "Okay, this booth is shut down." And that was like.
They reopened it later that day, but I think
it was not even later that day. I think it was closed the whole day. I think they reopened the next day, but this time they had some sort of like ticket system.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, I mean that was crazy.
That scared your lady a bit too, because like she was like, "What's going on?" Oh, there's a fight.
Well, I mean, here's why though. Because when you look up some of the San Diego Funko Pops, like the blue-eyed, the thing, that thing's worth over $1,000. So someone made $1,000 off of a $20, $30 buy.
15.
So that's worth getting a black eye over.
It is actually, but sometimes you gotta keep that decorum about you, especially if you're risking your future badges with SDCC.
Well, that is true. You would get banned.
Yeah, you don't want that permanent ban.
Speaking of San Diego, so I remember when I was still hiding my geekness in my 20s, Red was living in the San Diego area for a little while. And I don't know if you remember Red, but we were walking downtown San Diego, and I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks before the con was going to come around. And I had said something like, we should check it out. And I said that. I never followed up on that because I'm like, I don't want to be made fun of or whatever,
No, I think, we did talk about it because the banners were up all over all over East Street.
Yes.
I think we were there for a wedding.
No, it wasn't for a wedding. It was when you were working over there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's around 2007.
Yeah, it was whenever that 30 Seconds to Mars song from yesterday was popular. Because I remember hearing that song as we're walking around downtown San Diego with all the banners, and I'm like, oh, this is telling me that I should go.
Who would have thought that the Joker would be a lead singer?
Oh, yeah. Cut to the first time I go to San Diego. All right, I'm going to cap my story off with this.
Oh, shit. He's still telling a story. I'm sorry, AJ. Keep going.
So the first time I'm able to go to San Diego Comic-Con, right, I actually got hooked up. So I got I think it was some sort of badge from a friend's sister, and it was Fox Studios. I'm like, oh shit, this is awesome, right? And I go there, and it's my birthday weekend. A friend of our podcast, John, he went with me. Actually, I had initially asked my significant other if she wanted to come, and I told her, babe, we got to get there by 6 a.m, please. Let's get there by 6 a.m. And she was like, wait, what? We're gonna drive all the way from Orange County to San Diego for just another convention? And I'm like, no, babe, no, it's not just another convention. This is it. This is the pinnacle, right?
This is the convention.
Yeah, this is the convention. And being the awesome girlfriend that she is, she was like, you know what? I want you to go because I don't know if I really want to go that early. I'm not sure what the reason was, but it was kind of like, go have your fun, be you, and go with a fellow geek friend, right? So I go with John, and again, I might have to let me preface. It's my birthday weekend, so now like we go to the con with John.
I'm afraid your alter ego came out.
Okay,
Yes, it did.
We step out of the con, and then we start drinking at some bar. Everyone finds out it's my birthday. They're giving me free drinks, right? And now I'm completely fucked up. And we never actually go back inside the convention.
No.
Well, we went back the next day, but that Saturday, we left the con around 3 to get something to eat. Then we just ended up starting day drinking and then ended up night drinking, and we're walking around downtown, right? And I'm fucked up. I'm fucked up. Okay.
You can drink anytime. It's the con.
I know.
It's your
but
first time.
it's my first time. I know.
And it's your
But
birthday weekend.
We were at a bar and everyone started buying us drinks. Okay.
This first timer over here.
So now we're walking around the Gaslamp district, and I'm drunk, right? I think John's a little more. He's less drunk than I am.
He was composed, at least.
He's more composed, right? And I'm walking around, and I'm like being belligerent. And I'm like looking at the crowd, and I'm looking at everyone, and I'm like berating them, and I'm like, "Where were you during the dark times, man? You weren't there." And I was like, I had to hold this shit in, and now it's all popular. Where were you all during the dark times? You know, I'm literally saying this to anyone who will hear me.
Oh my God! Hold on, wait. So
repressed feelings were coming out.
The Nerd Banks came out. Is that what happened? Red, tell me that's what happened.
A little bit of that.
I wasn't there. I wasn't there.
But I was like, where were you during the dark times? Okay, here's the thing. I remember saying it, but the way John says it, he was like, you had so much passion every time you said it, like it hurt you deep that you had to suppress your geekness.
I love it.
Oh,
That's a great story.
That's awesome. That's truly awesome, AJ.
Okay, so with that being said, guys, I think we'll continue collecting, at least for the time being, until it goes digital. Oh my God, did I just say that?
Ooh, until it goes digital.
Ouch!
But it's already digital.
Oh,
just not really.
Not fully.
Jim Lee has already said it. It's coming.
Oh,
It's coming.
for all comics, really?
No,
He
it shouldn't.
made a couple statements about digital. He's released a couple things digital only, and DC has hinted that it is coming. It's coming soon, and then we'll just be dealing in back issues. But
Yeah, my brother-in-law had worked on a couple of DC and IDW titles. They're doing motion books with sound and like expanded bubbles and stuff like that. So they're already at it. I mean, they were in the midst of it.
Well, okay,
need
hold
to.
on. Wait.
you can't keep killing trees to make comics.
I don't think it's gonna happen because if there's still books, there should still be comic books. I don't think we're gonna get rid of comic books, and I don't think we're gonna get rid of the collecting aspect of comic books.
Oh, there's too much money in it.
I think there's going to be more of like trades and collected trades. People will want to possibly buy like, a full, like, let's say there's a mini series, they'll buy that, because I don't think Image is as fully done digital.
Well, the variant age has to come to an end at some point.
Yeah,
The variant age is out of control.
It's variant age 2.0. I mean, we went through it in the 90s, and now we're going through it again. I mean, all these variants it reminds me of all the Image stuff that happened in the 90s with like the 4-5 different connecting covers with Wetworks Team 7 and all those other ones. It's just like bell bottoms. It's just like fashion. Certain things just come back around. It gets annoying again. So it's going to end. There's going to be fatigue, and it's going to go back to, hey, look, let's just keep it simple.
I have my own personal opinions about variants, but I'd like to keep that.
Is it a gripe or is it?
It's for another podcast.
I'm going to say I'm all for variants, and I'll tell you why. In a future episode.
That'll be a good future conversation.
Yeah.
Next topic, guys. Please tell me you watched that little Venom 10-minute video I sent you guys.
That's a no for me.
I know. None of us did.
I thought we were talking about this next week. That was my understanding.
That was the second subject for the episode.
Sorry, dude.
I thought that was for the second week. That's
the one homework I did not do.
So we have homework. That's what you're saying.
Hey, life gets in the way. We'll have to table that one. Go to the.
All right, let's go
to the next one.
We're gonna go on.
Kids who had to do karate. That's what happened.
I was editing the picture and other things.
Let's discuss this Thursday short, the Venom short.
That's all right.
Yeah.
We'll talk. I mean, we've done a lot on the Get to Know You episode. So let's just move right on to the last topic for the night, guys. Let's talk about this week's pickups, variants of the week, covers of the week. What did everyone get? I'll just put this out there. I mean, I think everyone here knows that Death Metal Legend of the Dark Knights, that is it a 1 in 25 or 1 in 50? It's on fire right now. Will it hold up? I don't know.
Dark Knights, Death Metal, Legends of the Dark Knights, #1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say that 5 times fast.
Man, Luke went all full force with that one.
Sound like a Mad Lib.
I hate that title. I'm Scott Snyder. I love you. I follow you on Instagram. I freaking love everything you do, but that title is too long.
Dark Knights, Death
Here it
Metal,
is.
Legends of the Dark Knights. Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah.
My shop got 0 of the 1 in 25s, even though they got 50 of these. They're the new Midtown ordering system did not send them any.
Yeah, that's not cool.
This is just cover A of King Robin, who is, spoiler alert, earmuffs.
Earmuffs.
Bruce Wayne.
Oh,
it's Bruce freaking
what?
Wayne. I am so.
Yeah.
Okay,
who did you mad about that? But
you-
Batman Who Laughs is Bruce Wayne. Batman is Bruce Wayne. And now King Robin is Bruce Wayne.
Everyone is Bruce Wayne.
And how about B-Rex?
Oh.
Yeah.
Bruce Banner.
With everyone with
Bruce Lee?
it was such a big build up, and then that dropped, and I was like, "Are you serious?"
Who did you want to be Robin King?
Anybody else?
Yeah,
Jason Todd. At least Jason Todd.
I
mean,
thought it would be Jason Todd,
At
the
least-
Robin.
Yeah.
I was just thinking that it was going to be another Robin from another multiverse. Bringing
Just another
like
Robin.
another Robin.
Why that?
But it sounds like it's just Bruce's personality finally cracked, and I think that's what they're trying to say. Is
Well,
that
no.
His,
This version, he was a bad kid from the get-go.
Yeah, he was evil he killed a cop.
Yeah. He was bad from the get-go. He killed his parents in this one.
He killed his parents. Killed a cat, killed his parents, then he put a crossbow bolt through a cop's neck.
we need to really put a lot of spoiler alert warnings on this one.
And this show is all about spoilers, so we're not
after
gonna.
the episode, or it's after the release. If it's pre-release, it's fine. This is post-release.
Yeah, it's true. So get it, pick it up, probably dump it in
If
about
you
a month.
can get it, I mean, it's impossible to get.
If
One
you
of
get
the shops that
75, it's not going to stay at 300. That's first appearance. That's like Harley Quinn levels. It's not going to stay at Dead. I mean, you can get a Deadpool for cheaper than that.
Can I ask you guys something Batman related?
go for it.
Since now we have Damian Wayne, is there a need for a Terry McGinnis?
People love Terry though. I was never a Batman Beyond fan. I never even really watched the cartoons, but that guy's got a following though.
Sure, but if there wasn't a Damian Wayne at the time when Batman Beyond was created, now how do you integrate that storyline with Damian Wayne being the heir apparent?
Well, because he's dead, or not Damian Wayne. Terry McGinnis is dead. Are they going to bring him back?
He's dead in the comics.
He's dead in the comics, but let's say if Damian Wayne grows up to be Batman instead of just Bruce Wayne having to pass down the mantle to Terry McGinnis, how would that play out?
If Terry McGinnis is dead now, it won't matter because that just made Damian the next Batman heir apparent just by default that Terry McGinnis is dead, right?
No, let's just say that the future of this timeline involves Damian Wayne to become Batman. Will there still be a need for Terry McGinnis?
I mean, if it's a different universe, though, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
possible?
yeah.
If it's a different universe, they got to use like a different Earth.
Maybe
I thought that's what they were going to do with the Nolan Batman movies. I thought they were going to bring that, Bruce Wayne left and then bring the new Batman, Robin in, but they didn't.
No, with JGL's what do you call it?
His character,
his
his non-Robin character.
Well, his Robin is his middle name.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really like that.
I didn't like that at all either. Like that was a bad ending to like a great trilogy.
But definitely pick up a copy of King Robin. Dark Knights, Death Metal, Legends of the Dark Knights, #1. Get a copy.
Oh, say that five times fast. Yeah.
Luke, did you get anything else this week?
I got a bunch of stuff this week. I think probably Batman 96. I picked up Batman 96. These covers are.
Oh yeah.
I'm loving these B covers. They're gorgeous.
Dude, I actually like the cover A. I got both, but for some reason I like the cover A on this particular issue more than B. I don't know why.
Oh, with Joker is like part of the engine.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna say this. Like, I didn't know who this guy was. You know, I'm still pretty new to collecting even Batman, but Jorge Jimenez, his art's amazing.
Yeah, Jorge.
I'm really becoming a fan of this guy. Like, I want to know a little bit more about him. So yeah, his art in the Batman run is so far it's pretty fantastic. I want to, like I said, I want to know more about him.
And Tinian the Fourth is just killing. I'm loving his storylines.
Yeah.
I'm hoping he's gonna really just nail this Joker Wars coming up. So
I didn't realize it's only 5 issues too.
Joker Wars?
it's only a 5-issue arc.
It ended 100.
Saying.
But isn't there like a bunch of side stories too? Like there's Batman or Batgirl,
Yeah,
like 47,
yeah.
48,
I'm not reading any of the side stories.
detective story. Yeah, I picked up the detective comics. What is it? 10, 24, and 25, which were kind of tie-ins. Yeah, they're fillers.
Another recent book I picked up. If anyone can find this, now is the time to buy it. DC Universe Rebirth #1. I believe it's the 1 in 50 or maybe even 1 in 100. It's the first appearance of 3 Jokers on the cover. But that's going to rise in value here in the next month, big time.
Because of the multiple Joker covers. Was it coming out this month?
3 Jokers.
This month, end of August.
Yeah.
So it's probably the last week or two before this book's going to really pop big time, I think.
There you have it, folks, right here from us first. We're telling you get that. What about you, E-Man? Did you get anything?
Well, yeah, I picked up that Dark Knights, Death Metal, Legends of the Dark Knights.
Oh, you were able to get a copy.
Yeah, my LCS was able to put. He knows that I've been trying to collect a lot of the death metal stuff, so he's been putting all the anything death metal related. He's been putting in. Batman: The Adventure Continues, which is a continuation of the cartoon, and it's a fun read. It's not the best, but it's a fun read. It's funny because I'm collecting a lot of Batman stuff, and to be honest with you, Batman's not even my favorite superhero, but I'm intrigued by the current storylines of what's going on with Batman.
That's the thing. Like, I can't really say Batman is my favorite superhero, but I've read every Batman issue since the Capullo Snyder run. And I'm like, that's the one that I've consistently had on my pool. And I'm like, I think it's just whoever's on there, it's good storytelling. I mean, granted,
it's just good storytelling.
Yeah, granted, the writer Tom King before Tinian, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah, I mean, there are some storylines that are a little convoluted, but I did like the there was a Tale of Two Wars or two.
Tale of Two Cities, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
That one was pretty good.
That was a pretty good storyline.
Yeah, I picked up Big Girls #1 from Image. I bought that from an online store.
Oh, nice.
I picked up that one. I picked up the 2 variants. I think there's a Virgin variant included in that too. So I got that, and I picked up some old issues. Mr. Luke Weeks, actually. I ended up buying a couple of comics from him this week. What did I get from you this week? I'm looking.
That was the Marvel Action #6, the retailer incentive variant for Captain Marvel.
Yeah, that was the one. I went ahead and picked up an old one.
That is a crazy cool cover.
As soon as I saw that cover and you were showing it on your auction, besides when you guys get a chance, take a look at Luke Weeks' auctions on Facebook when it comes up.
Wednesdays and Saturdays.
As soon as I saw that cover, I was like, "Oh, I want that! That looks so awesome!" So I picked that up. But other than that, it wasn't like a really heavy comic book week, so I didn't really pick up too much. It was just pretty much that right there.
What about you, Red? What'd you get?
picked up Firepower 1 and 2. Rick and Morty, Bird Person.
I did not even know that was out.
Yeah,
Not
me
that I
neither.
read Rick and Morty, but that sounds interesting.
It's a young bird person. So I have to. That's on the cover. So I'm really excited to read it. I guess it's before he met Rick.
Okay, the bird dude.
Yeah, bird person or
Bird
Phoenix person.
Okay, well, the only thing I really picked up as far as reads was the new issue of Batman and the Legends of the Dark Knights. I read both of them last night. I don't know how I feel about the Legend of the Dark Knights. The first story about the Darkest Night, it was wasn't all that. I did think that the highlight was the Robin King storyline, and then the others were they were like, I don't want to say forgettable, but I don't really, I guess you can say they were because I don't remember the storyline that much. Actually, no. There was one about like Batman, he like sacrificed someone in his family. I forgot who it was though. That was a decent story. Batman, what was it? 90s?
When he becomes Dr. Manhattan and goes into like the universe.
Oh, that's the very the first storyline in that.
That was so confusing to me. I was confused.
Yes, yeah.
What? He's Dr. Manhattan?
Yeah.
Wow, is he trying to be every superhero? At least the negative version of it in the whole DC universe?
That's how I'm feeling.
I have a feeling that they are trying to make Batman Who Laughs their null. But
it seems like that's what's happening right now, right? Between DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
It's pretty much Null versus the Batman Who Laughs.
Yeah. And that's why they powered him up to Dr. Manhattan power levels, I guess you could say.
Status.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Also, real fast, I also picked up Horizon Zero Dawn #1, the Art Germ cover. I just want to read it, see how that is. And it's not like the incentive cover. I think it's cover A, so it's the regular.
It's based off of a video game, right?
Yeah. And I haven't played the game. It's a game that I've been wanting to play. I just haven't had time to play that one. But since it's got the comic, I went ahead and say, hey, you know what, screw it. Let me go ahead and pick it up and see where it starts off, because I hear that the story is really, really good.
Good story, good game.
Last thing I picked up was there's a Marvel, the hip hop covers. There's a collection. There's 2 volumes. There's a book 1 and a book 2. I actually got book 2 for a really good deal. I haven't even opened it. It's still sealed, but it's basically a hardbound book featuring all the hip hop covers. It's a good coffee table type of book.
Oh, yeah, because that sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, the first one was in comic book form.
No, there's a hardbound one too.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I hadn't yet to find that one. I was surprised I found this one, so I got book 2. I'm just still looking for book 1.
Should have told me. I would have saved it for you.
Oh, you saw book 1?
I had it, but I sold it.
Oh, the hardbound book.
Not the hardbound, the comic book one.
I had that
had
one.
The first volume stuff in there.
Oh no, I had that one.
I'd like to announce that we did pass your birthday, which was on the 26th. So happy belated birthday, bud.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, happy birthday.
Thank you. AJ, Luke, you got some giveaways?
I do. I had 12 people message me for the giveaways from last week. So
right on. Oh, people are listening. Yeah.
Last week were the poly-sealed, 4 poly-sealed packs from the 90s, because we were talking about some of those older books. So I have a 12-sided dice here, and you can hear it here. I'm going to roll it right now and then message the winner. I'm not going to say their name just because I don't know if they want to be anonymous or not, but here we go. 3, 2, 1. Number 7. So I will message number 7 on my list. Okay, but for the giveaways for this week, I didn't know Free Comic Book Day. They kind of staggered it. At least at my LCS, they got books throughout all of July, and they actually got books this week to give out. So in honor of that, I'm giving away an old school set of Free Comic Book Day books.
Oh, very nice.
2002 and 2003. It's an Ultimate Spider-Man #1, a Batman Adventures #1, an Ultimate X-Men #1, and a Justice League Adventures #1. 2000, almost 18-year-old Free Comic Book Day books. Maybe even the first year they did it. All you have to do is message me to get on the list for the giveaway. and hopefully we'll get this giveaway list growing. And if you want to sponsor a giveaway, message the podcast and donate some books for the giveaways.
How can they reach you, Luke?
Message me on Facebook. Luke Weeks is my profile, or Instagram, Luke Weeks, or message the podcast, C-List Villains.
Yeah. Email us at clistvillains@gmail.com. Come on, be our first email person to send
And
us
Twitter
email.
at C-List Villains.
Twitter at C-List Villains.
And Instagram, but we don't have much on the Instagram. We're working on that, guys.
We're getting our social media stuff going. Red's working really hard on getting our Facebook, our Instagram, Twitter. He's doing a lot in the background, guys. He's doing a good job.
Again, you can follow us on all the social medias. I am AJ. You can follow me on Instagram, AJ the Comic Collector. Luke, you want to promote your social media one more time?
Yeah, RKFA Comics, Facebook.com, RKFA Comics.
And thanks again for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Laters.
All right.